Bush has found a pattern. First, I want to thank Attorney Ben Crump for his excellent work on distress people around the nation at every level, whether killings like going to deal with the funeral tomorrow in Minnesota, whether it is the stress of people on job and discrimination. Remember, Bush is initiating about a season of work, public audits on public corporations. Well, shares of stock in them. We intend to use shareholder meetings and demand equity and parity. We're free but not equal. We found that today, for example, Rainbow Push, this distress in the National Football League. It's more than one coach deep, for example. 32 teams. We're going to check each of their board of directors, the C-suites. More than that, the business vendors. They hire 7% black football players to have black restaurants doing the catering for them, for example. Whole range of stuff. So in this case, State Farm is another case where the gap between the advertisement and the reality is different. On State Farm on television, you see black people as spokesmen, stars, and the like. Illinois EOC and federal EOC says patterns of discrimination exist. Two separate cases of women, one black and one Indian. So the black agencies complaining. We need the nation totaling 18,000 agencies in the country. 8% are African American, 7% Hispanic, 4% Asian, 1% others. It means that we should have at least 25% black and brown people. We're demanding procurement, professional services, suppliers, and advertisers. The case today has specifically to do with patterns and practice of discrimination. The federal government and state government have both found State Farm guilty of patterns and practice of discrimination. We're not saying about let it happen without a fight. Ben.
Thank you so much, Reverend Jackson. We are honored to stand with the iconic civil rights leader of America, Jesse Jackson, who has really created the blueprint to help create greater diversity, equity, and inclusion amongst publicly traded corporations and private companies. And so we are very thankful to you, Reverend Jackson, to be here at Rainbow Push headquarters. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Robert McLaughlin and Attorney Yoki Bass of the Hart Law Firm here in Chicago, Illinois. We have the honor of representing today as we filed this landmark lawsuit against State Farm, Ms. Shashi Mandhyan, as well as Dr. Carla Campbell-Moore, as well as Ms. Deborah Mitchell, and 150 other current and former State Farm employees who have alleged blatant discrimination against the State Farm company. You know, Reverend Jackson, is profound today as Attorney McLaughlin and Attorney Bass and I filed this lawsuit to understand the basis and fact of these lawsuits. The fact that with Dr. Carla Campbell-Jackson, you had the federal EEOC do an extensive investigation and have put forth 1,000 documents evidencing that there is a pattern and practice of discrimination at State Farm. When you think about that, it is really, really significant when the federal government finds that there's discrimination. That's not common where you have findings. And then most recently with Shashi Mandhyan, the Illinois EEOC found that there was pattern and practice discrimination. So what that documented for us is that despite State Farm saying, oh, that was just an isolated incident with Dr. Carla, no, now we have Ms. Mandhyan showing that it is not an isolated incident, this rampant pattern discrimination at State Farm, because they always, when a marginalized minorities say discrimination, they say, oh, it's just an isolated incident, or they try to say, y'all just exaggerating, y'all are crazy. Well, when you have two governmental agencies finding the same conclusions, that means State Farm, you're crazy to try to deny the existence of this discrimination and try to sweep it under the rug. Well, we're not going to let you sweep it under the rug. We have over 150 of your current and former employees who are making the same proclamation, and you all continue to be tone deaf. Well, I'm very honored that Reverend Jackson is also going to call for an audit to not only look at what your diversity efforts are, but as he and his colleagues discuss, tell us what you're doing about this discrimination. Don't keep telling us, oh, we got a good diversity program. That's almost like a mere lock when they say, well, we are not going to do no not warrants, but yet no not warrants still exist, and our young people still keep being killed. Well, State Farm, you keep trying to talk about some policy you have, but the discrimination keeps happening, and it's harming real people. Yes. And so we have filed this landmark lawsuit because we're going to make sure, State Farm, that you don't continue to espouse this culture of denial when it comes to discrimination and implicit bias and racism. Because some of the things that have been uncovered by Dr. Carla and Ms. Shashi is just flat out racism. There's no way around it. And so we want you to do better, State Farm, but if you refuse to do better, then we're going to take a stand and stand our ground with these women of color. And now you're going to hear from Attorney Robert McLaughlin, my great co-counsel, who's going to share with you some of the substance of the lawsuit that was filed on behalf of Shashi. And then after Attorney McLaughlin, we'll introduce you to Shashi, and then Dr. Carla will have the final word, and we will take some of your questions. Attorney Robert McLaughlin.
Thanks, Ben. I'm honored to be here today on behalf of Shashi as one member of her legal team to pursue her case against State Farm for discrimination, retaliation, and wrongful discharge. As Ben said, this is not a one-off isolated situation. We were here just a few months ago on behalf of Dr. Carla, who the EEOC found cause for retaliation, discrimination, and termination based on race. State Farm's response to that lawsuit was to immediately do damage control, both internally with their own employees and externally to the public. What they did is shameful. State Farm told their own employees that they are aware of no other cases, no other allegations related to Dr. Carla's case. Well, the truth is the EEOC told State Farm a long time ago there was a class of 10 individuals in Michigan, African Americans and Muslims, that the EEOC determined were harassed and retaliated against. State Farm didn't tell their employees they knew about that. State Farm didn't tell their employees that just a matter of days before Dr. Carla announced her claim, State Farm offered $5,000 to a gentleman to settle his claim of racial discrimination and harassment. So the truth is, when State Farm's head of diversity, Victor Terry, told State Farm employees, don't worry about it, don't panic, Dr. Carla's case is a one-off, that wasn't true. And now we're here with another State Farm employee who in her lawsuit filed a couple weeks ago in Illinois State Court after the Illinois Department of Human Rights found cause for discrimination and retaliation. She sets forth a 19-year employment history at State Farm with flawless reviews, the highest marks you can achieve. When she then complained to State Farm that her manager and coworkers were making fun of her by calling her Sushi, not Sashi, telling her that she must smell because of the spicy food she eats, telling her that she has to ask for permission to go to the bathroom, unlike her white colleagues, telling her to her face that Mexicans are criminals and are dirty, that Indians are dirty, that Indians wear dirty rags on their head, that Indians are strange because they have dots on their foreheads. She thought enough was enough. She was going to report that to her superiors at State Farm. And at the time, one of those superiors, a vice president, was Victor Terry, before he became head of diversity. Victor Terry did nothing about it. Shashi then elevated her complaints within State Farm. And what did they do? They retaliated against her, and ultimately, they fired her. So Shashi brought her claim to the Illinois Department of Human Rights. They found cause, so she's here today to talk about her claims, about her experience, and about the fact that this is not a one-off situation. This is about hundreds of State Farm employees, unfortunately, suffering the same discrimination in the past and currently in the future, which we know from calls that are coming into our offices every day from current State Farm employees. Shashi?
First and foremost, I want to thank Department of Human Rights and EEOC for their independent, objective, and thorough investigation. I also want to pay my gratitude to my attorneys, my family, and my friends for their support that have given me the courage to take this bold but extremely necessary step to come forward publicly, speak regarding systemic racism, discrimination taking place within a State Farm organization for years. I have been subject to reprehensible behaviors condoned and supported by State Farm leadership at the highest level. Wow. State Farm's leadership ignored my valid complaint that EOC and Illinois Department of Human Rights investigation clearly found validity in. From giving me names such as Sushi. My name is Shashi State Farm. My name is Shashi. From giving me names to mocking my ethnicity to disallowing me career opportunity, State Farm encouraged racism. My 19-year-long career with stellar performance come to a screeching halt. I raised a flag to stop the racism. Since I blew the whistle on State Farm's leadership, allowing such discrimination practice toward minority employees, agent, and customer, I became the target of retaliation and attack that led to termination of my employment under fictitious and manufactured allegation. My Lord. From practically daily harassing meetings to endless memos to a surprise administrative leave, State Farm's giant claw of racism wanted me to succumb to its coercion. Yet, I stand here with Dr. Carla Campbell Jackson and several others to stop such heinous practices. Several others who are not here and several others who will be coming forward. Stop it. Stop it, State Farm. Stop this racism, State Farm.
Stop this racism, State Farm. Stop this racism, State Farm.
God gave me strength to prevail and fight for the men and women who constantly face direct, overt racism to covert racism of limiting careers. State Farm is masterful in operating systemic racism under a cloak. Wow. My experience support the retaliation and mistreatment of minority is growing, thriving, and rampant practice at State Farm under the cloak of diversity and inclusion. Wow. In conclusion, several of us are and will stand together to end this systemic and rampant racism in State Farm. We too will prevail. My name is Shashi. My name is Shashi State Farm. Lastly, I want to thank Rainbow Push Coalition for providing the platform to protect and preserve human rights and human dignity.
Say her name.
Your name is Sasha.
Her name is Shashi State Farm. Say her name. Dr. Carla.
Thank you, thank you. And to the beautiful Ms. Shashi, thank you. Thank you for your courage and your bravery. To my expert legal team, it is once again that we have gathered to let State Farm know that your racism, State Farm, is causing harm. State Farm, the last time we probably had this dialogue, since then we've received countless communications about what you are doing to the very essence of our people. Now, I know this past Sunday we probably all enjoyed the Super Bowl, and that's great. However, Chris Paul, Patrick Mahomes, Trey Young, and State Farm Jake, newsflash, State Farm is not a good neighbor to people who look like you and me. This is indisputable, and it is utterly unacceptable. In an unprecedented act of holding State Farm accountable back here in December of 2021, I courageously rebuked State Farm's treatment and their racism and discrimination. State Farm, you have a moral obligation. You have a mandate to do what's right. In the meanwhile, we shall remain resolute, unmovable, and steadfast in our pursuit of eliminating racism, discrimination, and retaliation.
Let me see. Thank you, Carla. Patterns and practices of racism, intimidation, harassment. Patterns and practices of discrimination, harassment, and intimidation that must end. Beyond that, must also have equity and parity in State Farm agencies. What lawyers do they use? Advertising, marketing. We know they use artists, athletes who are appealing to us. But if these athletes know what the facts are, then we're less inclined to front off for them. Thank you very much.
Well said, Reverend Jackson. We're going to take a few of your questions, but I want to iterate what Dr. Carla Campbell Jackson said and what we said last press conference. State Farm, your racism is causing harm. State Farm, your racism is causing harm. State Farm, your racism is causing harm.
I shall
Thank
attempt to
you.
meet with the president of State Farm in the next couple of days. You report on such a meeting.
Yes, sir. Are there any questions?
That's the pool camera there.
Okay. If there are no questions, we will continue to update you as we push forward with eradicating this racism and pattern and practice discrimination at State Farm to its minority employees, especially its women of color. Thank you.